Madam Speaker, on May 21st, members may recall I foreshadowed my intention to launch a fledgling new music festival in my electorate. Now, it's my great pleasure to report back tonight to the House on the inaugural Fong Lim Fanfare Festival, which we were able to hold between July 4 and 6. Now, the purpose of the festival was manifold, but primarily to bring some joy and vitality to my electorate via the celebration of band music. And so we had a festival which was presented under the auspices of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and delivered in association with partners from the University of Sydney, from the Conservatorium of Music, from the Sydney Grammar School, from 𝙍𝙬𝙬𝙍𝙬 Yacht Association, Ton's Bistro at Dinah, the Haileybury Rental School, the Northern Territory Music School, the Australian American Association and Government House. Now, first of all, let me thank the branch president of the CPA for allowing us to raise the profile of the CPA by branding across all of these events. As I pointed out before, the CPA is a very powerful organisation that we all belong to across countries, and we could all do well to have more involvement with it. Now, the mini-festival that we ran over a few days featured 3 exciting performances by the renowned 21-piece jazz big band, Dr. V Swing Thing from Sydney. And so that was led by the acclaimed saxophonist and band leader and conductor and educator and composer, Mr. David 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙬𝙎𝙎, who is the leader of the Jazz Performance Program at the University of Sydney and honestly one of the giants of Australian jazz and music generally. And so we're very blessed to have him, as well as a range of other people, volunteer their time to come up from interstate to put on a 3-day music festival and spread a bit of joy. So we had 3 events that we ran over 3 days, and they were all very different, and they were all, I'm pleased to report, very successful. On the 4th of July, we, at my beloved Dinah Beach Yacht Club, the Dinah Beach Cruising Yacht Association, did an event called Swing, 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 where we had a glamorous territory formal 4th of July dinner dance, and guests were invited to dress up, dine, dance the night away to the sounds of classic Rat Pack tunes. It was quite the contrast. You had ball gowns versus the beloved crusty barnacles in high vis at the Dinah Beach Yacht Club. But it was proof that the Dinah Beach Yacht Club does scrub up all right as well. And it was a sold-out event with tons of swing dancers, amazing food service by Ton's Bistro, who I commend also on being shortlisted for a bunch of catering awards recently. And it even made a modest start towards fundraising for the new pontoon that Dinah Beach is seeking to replace, which is an essential piece of infrastructure that is really important to all mariners in the Northern Territory. It was also a useful opportunity to build bridges with the American Australian Association and the US Marines that are part of our society here and often don't have terribly much to do with civil society. And so I was pleased to see that we had some off-duty people being able to also come down and help us enjoy the event. On the 5th of July at Government House, we were able to hold a special outdoor terrace concert hosted by Professor the Honourable 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙀𝙍𝙍 to support the Administrator in recognising the contributions of community musical volunteers. And there were around 150 of those volunteers there from organisations and ensembles, including the Darwin City Brass Band, the Hot and Cold Big Band, the Darwin Beach Choir, the Darwin Chorale, who recently celebrated their 40th anniversary, I might note as well, the Army Band of the 1st Brigade, the new Royal Australian Navy Band, the Vocollective Singers, the Darwin Symphony Orchestra, the Arafura Wind Ensemble, the Arafura Music Collective. And I was delighted to also see the members for Port Darwin and the members for Johnson at the concert. Thank you so much for coming down. It was wonderful to have some parliamentary colleagues there. I do note, of course, that everybody else was more or less give or take at the Alice Springs show, which I couldn't compete with the Alice Springs show, so fair dues to those of you who couldn't make it, but also thank you to those of you who were able to make it. And I think it's fair to say that it was a very well-received event. A lot of the people who got contacted from those organisations, their first response was, "You want me to play it what, when?" And it was a case of, no, we want you to sit in the audience and for once be thanked for the contribution you make towards social cohesion, art, culture, the economic impact of the arts. And so it was really nice for a lot of those people who sing the national anthem for us at all the events and fly the flag for us and make these events happen, actually have an opportunity to be recognised. And again, a really good opportunity, as I said, to fly the flag for the CPA and for people to actually ask, what is the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, how is it involved with these initiatives? And cultural exchange programs through the CPA are a core part of its business, I might add as well. The third event that we ran the following day on the 6th of July, we entitled 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙀𝙑𝙀𝙀 Jazz Jamboree. And what we did was an interactive holiday masterclass and performance aimed at inspiring our next generation of young artists and musicians in particular. Now, as some of you know, growing up in Darwin, I benefited from an amazing musical education and really fondly recall the excitement of watching touring band performances, and our hope was to provide something similarly fun and inspiring for young and old alike. And I'm really pleased to say that even though we had slightly smaller numbers than we'd hoped for, every kid who would have turned up would have walked away inspired and with something really to aim for and shoot for. We had a series of kids who all play in our public schools and some of our private schools as well, all being able to sit in on an interactive masterclass, learn from some of the best people in the country in what was like a really privileged opportunity. So I was delighted to be able to put on that event for a select few because it really made a profound difference to the people who were able to attend the event. Now, my priority is always going to be, first and foremost, delivering for my electorate. But it's also worth noting the economic footprint of this modest event. Now, a conservative estimate would be that I generated, in partnership with all the people who contributed their time, a six-figure contribution to our GSP, to our gross state product, from a three-figure investment in operating costs. So, you know, that's basically a return on investment of 1,000-fold plus, notwithstanding the absolute versus relative quantum of that impact. So we're not talking about a big-ticket project here that generated millions, but it's safe to say that I generated hundreds of thousands in 3 days' worth of putting on free music. There is an economic argument and a logic to supporting the arts here, and I keep explaining to everyone in this house that it is the small things added up together that compound into sustainable economic growth models. You need people, but you also need regular activity and not necessarily chasing white elephant projects the whole time. And so that's my, subtle dig at the fact that the arts pays off and it is worth us investing in it. And I extend a courtesy to the member for 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙀𝙬 who also makes the similar point on a recurrent basis, we both being the parliamentary friends of live music, as it were. Now, how is it that I'm able to calculate such a generous sum? Well, if you think about the cost of flights, accommodation, production costs, ticket sales, food and beverage costs, catering contracts, all the money those guys spent at Mindle Beach and at Parap markets, as well as all the secondary tourism tours, I had 25 people coming up here with their families for at least 4 days, and then there's the knock-on effect of everyone that was involved in that event. So as I say, the return on investment extremely high, and it's worth us considering what actually generates bang for buck in the Northern Territory economically. Now, back to the artsy side of it though. It was a lot of fun. It was a delight to put on some music and spread some joy. It was great to see parliamentary colleagues being part of it. It was also really heartening to see so many people invested in the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and asking questions about what it did and what we could do for it and what it could do for us. And so we've started small but mighty in 2025, and fingers crossed we're going to expand Fanfare over the next few years and hopefully involve a lot of local wind bands, involve local brass bands, big bands, and put on gigs through some of Fong Lim's hidden gem locations. Now, I represent an electorate with a lot of cool places to make music, as many of you will know, and that a lot of people don't know about as well. Lots of airport hangars and industrial warehouses and microbreweries and gin distilleries and seaside venues, and some pretty great schools as well, all of whom had a small part to play in this year's festival, but all of whom I'm hoping will have an even larger part to play in next year's festival. I appreciate that it's a congested time of year, and it was a no slight on Alice Springs Show that we organised this some 9 months in advance and ended up clashing with Alice Springs Show. I make this commitment though, if it's the case that we ended up doing this on the same weekend this time next year, we'll make sure we get to Alice Springs on tour as well, because I know a lot of the people that were involved with the tour really love the Territory, really delighted to be part of promoting the arts and also promoting music education in the Territory. Some of them had very long-standing connections, I might add, to the Territory as people who had lived here or worked here in the past as well. So a great opportunity, a fantastic opportunity to get an initiative off the ground. around, and I very much appreciate the support of everyone in the House for helping me to make it so, make it a successful event. So with that, thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I look forward to reporting back on the Fanfare Fong Lim Festival in 2026.